Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, July 16th, Prime Day, which may quickly become known as the internet is all screwed up day, at least for me. Amazon's Prime website is not working very well. I was able to do Prime shopping, but honestly I only got one deal and just bought a lot of things I was gonna buy anyways for the basically same price I was gonna pay anyways. So I had hoped I was putting off some shopping in the chance that they'd maybe give you a 1%, even 2%, 5%, 10% off discount off the entirety of your purchases. But we really didn't see that. There's a car camera to record accidents that's on a decent sale. That's the one thing I got on sale. And then there was a Prime Day sale for a cell phone repair kit that I missed. And this Prime Day's only been going on for 2 hours. Their website's been all messed up. Now, maybe related to that, my internet has just been all messed up too. It may not be related to that. I have been spending this entire week uploading Hearthstone videos and playing a little bit of Bejeweled, which we'll get into in a second. So maybe that messed up the internet, maybe not, I don't know. But right now the stream could be pretty bad. You can see that in the messages, which I still haven't fixed the CSS scripting. I've tried. I'm gonna have to do put more research into it to get the text to look white. I cannot read any of what's happening on the messages right now, so apologies for that. It's just, you know, priorities. Once that broke, fixing it wasn't gonna be amazingly easy. Hearthstone related though, let's get into Hearthstone. The Ragnaros Festival is back. So everything is doubled, so this is effectively a 60, this is effectively a 60, and this is effectively a 50. And as far as overlap, we need to play Paladin, so we need to hop in there and do that, I guess. Giving us double the amount of gold is nice, certainly. It makes a lot of sense, since we know that there's only about a month between now and the next expansion. The idea would be, it would be very nice to have the next expansion to be up to closer to 100%, 100 packs instead of 60, which is what we're at right now. Also apologies, like right now on the messages it looks like somebody has just commented on the chat, but on my cell phone version I am not seeing any chat messages, so either that's, I'm misreading that, or the chat's all messed up, so apologies for all that. Speaking of apologies, I'm going to try to get through an entire stream today, but I may have to go to just a silent post show, because a large amount of dust, and apparently I'm allergic to dust. I imagine most people are allergic to dust, or at least this is my estimate of what's going on. A lot of dust came in, particularly last night as I was playing 5 hours of Bejeweled 3, because I needed a filler series to happen in between Warcraft and the Temple of Osiris and the beginning of October month. There's just a week there at the end of September where I was like, well, I don't want to start Halloween month early. Halloween month is the one month where I try to make everything line up at least moderately. If it was 3 days, I probably would have done it. But then I had Bejeweled 3. I don't have Bejeweled 1 or 2. And frankly, after spending 5 hours on Bejeweled 3, I don't feel like I really need to own Bejeweled 1 or 2 or Blitz or any of their other games, because Bejeweled 3 is the latest version that's available on Steam from at least PopCap, and it's a big meh for me. I'm just not really a fan of that. Okay, now I'm seeing that that was Nightbot's song request that came up, and the delay is incredibly high.
Your magic shall not.
So I played it. I think if you like match 3 or match 4 puzzle games, well, I guess you just call them match 3, even if you can match more than 3. Most puzzle games that are match 3 allow you to match more. I guess you'd be fine with Bejeweled 3. It's an old game since it came out in 2010, and it's definitely missing some features. It's surprisingly missing credits. Like, no credits for the people who made the game are accessible throughout the menu. That's kind of crazy. And I think PopCap either went out of business or was absorbed by Facebook, because it doesn't seem like they're doing anything these days. But yeah, I didn't like a lot of the very different ways to play Bejeweled that were in Bejeweled 3, and that's slightly a problem. And
Job's done.
there were a few modes I did like, but I didn't like them well enough to want to play them any extra. All the achievements are kind of too difficult, and winning often felt like it was just a little too much based on randomness for me. Also, when you compare it to, say, 10 Million or its sequel, You Must Build a Boat. You Must Build a Boat is a lot better, even though it keeps you under the wire throughout the entire game. There is no like Zen mode to You Must Build a Boat like there is in Bejeweled. It gives you much smaller linear quests. You always have 3 quests, and You Must Build a Boat to work towards. And once you finish those quests, you get an item that improves how your experience happens, and it has this RPG elements that makes the gameplay a lot better in my opinion. Also, You Must Build a Boat has daily challenges, so there's more of a reason to come back and play some more. And Bejeweled 3 just doesn't have that. On the other hand, if you're kind of bored with match 3 games, Honey Pop is another game that might be better suited. Like, if you're a fan of anime girls or anime-esque girls and dating sims, and you want to break into match 3, Honey Pop does that for you pretty well, and it certainly kept my attention all the way through that game, whereas I could see significant arguments that many other match 3 games would just lose my attention. Let's see, do I want this? I'm wondering if Nightmare Amalgam actually isn't a pretty good card to play as a Murloc. So in all different directions, since match 3 is not so much a main gameplay mechanic in 2018 as it is a subtitle, a lockpick mechanism type game, some mini game in something bigger. In the same way that BioShock had the pipes mini game to hack the vending machines, I get the same feeling that a match 3 game should be something like that. And when you try to make it it's the main focus, it gets really hard for me to be interested in the game, because match 3 is kind of boring. Also, it's kind of weird to play Bejeweled 3 because it's on PC, and that you'd almost certainly want this on a mobile game, or you would want cloud saving or cross-platform play or something like that. You want a high score table that is more than just a fake high score that they've set up. Like, there's no online ranking leaderboards for Bejeweled 3. It's just a fake top scores that they've preloaded with scores like old arcade games used to be, where when you reset the memory, the top high score was always like 100,000 or 1,000,000 or whatever was a reasonably low high score to be beaten. Let's see. What can we do? That won't kill that. And that won't kill that. And so we'll just sacrifice this guy.
Not on my watch.
Kill this one. Attack there, and that one. And turn. So, I'm probably saying more right now about Bejeweled 3 than I even said during the actual coverage of it. It's a real hard game to criticize, certainly, because it is what it is, and that's kind of all you can say. It wasn't bad in implementing what it promised to implement. It was just bad in the fact that it didn't implement things it never promised. We much more often have the exact opposite No Man's Sky effect, where games overpromise and underdeliver. This one probably at worst underpromised and overdelivered.
Reporting for duty.
Well, maybe it'd be better explained as they underpromised and underdelivered.
For justice.
Moving on though, let's try to get through all the news, because like I said, at any point I could have a horrible coughing fit, and I'm gonna have to just wrap this up, so I want to just get as much of the news as possible. PC Gamer has an article. The former visual creative director reveals plans for Dead Space 4. Little bits and trinkets here. I saw a video covering this exact same news, so I don't really need to read this article. Inherently, it's admits at least that the visceral creative director will never have another hand in creating a Dead Space game. If I think it's EA wants to make another Dead Space game, I don't think they're going to include him, so whatever is revealed here is probably not what would happen anyways. Interesting, the lady who was working with Visceral, Amy Henning I believe is her name, I could be wrong, apologies if I am. She worked on Legacy of Kain and was like the lead creative writer and director of that. So if Square Enix was ever going to bring back the Legacy of Kain game series, it would be interesting if they could convince her to come back and work on it. Probably not, I would guess. I just imagine the Legacy of Kain series is too old and too dead. It would do very well if they were to take all the good parts that people like from all of the games in that series, because it's a particularly lesser known and older series, merge them together, do a full remake, do something pretty cool there. That might work. But even if you were to do all of that, I'm still not sure you wouldn't end up making at best a AA game from a company that only wants AAA games and $1 million seller games. I'm just not sure Legacy of Kain as a series is ever gonna be able to grow its appeal beyond its original peak niche audience. Same is probably true for Dead Space 2. That's what Dead Space 3 was an attempt to, instead of having a niche horror game that appealed to a smaller audience, they tried to shift it into a generically popular, accessible by all game that was a co-op third-person shooter, and it failed miserably with the audience that actually liked it. They tried to pivot the audience basically, and you can't pivot your customers and pivot your audience most of the time. I don't know if I can think of a good example of it ever actually working. And if it has worked, it probably worked over the course of a very long amount of time. See, we have Dual Match Solitaire. I don't think that's actually a game that just came out. No, it's not even out until July 26th. This is the game that I've already talked about a couple times from the publisher, I believe, that published Regency Solitaire. They're publishing a different Solitaire, but I don't think it's from the same creator. But they're all kind of made on the same Solitaire game engine, it seems like. Maybe it's just a Unity example. Anyways, moving forward, I think I've already talked about that. According to Game Matsu, Under Night In Birth EXE : latest is coming to PC on August 20th. This is a Arc Systems Work fighter game. One of these anime fighter characters. It's named pretty awkwardly when translated to English like that. I imagine it makes a little bit more sense, or it sounds a little bit cooler in Japanese. Let's see. It's from a developer who goes by the name of French Bread. And let's see. The two games before them are both positively related by that developer. And the original cutscene is full-on. The trailer is a full-on anime trailer experience. Kid with a sword.
For justice. Reporting for duty.
This is really all. Any fighter game is going to come down to its characters at some level, and so this also. They also come down to their player base, and whether there's a player base that wants to play this. So I'll keep an eye on this fighting game. It's probably not the right fighting game to play, frankly, unless you've played them all the other ones. When you compare this to something like, why not play Dragon Ball Fighters that has had at least a popular audience to play it for a short time, and you'd find a few matches at least. Or why not play this against like Street Fighter or one of the other big major
Reporting for duty.
Major series in the fighting genre. Let's see. We have a game called Beast and Chess on Steam. Looks like an asset flip, which is to say it has a pretty environment, and no showing that off. Seems like you fight animals with swords and crossbows. played every paladin card here.
Reporting for duty.
Let's go out on our own terms. And now I'm seeing a minotaur. Now I'm seeing an alligator. Generally speaking, just running around a field and fighting beasts is not an appealing enough concept. Witcher 3 had full sections in which you could have just run around and fought monsters, and the monsters were kind of few and far between. If there were more in Witcher 3, I would have been a little bit happier, but if that was the only thing in Witcher 3, I'd be very, very disappointed. Clearly it wasn't the most important factor. Anyways, Beast in Chest is 10% off for $8.99. I would say, while it is rather polished, this does approach the level of an asset flip game. Or you don't even really have to get that far. You could just say it's just not a fully realized, fun-looking game. That also feels to be like an accurate description. Moving on, TechRaptor says Wasteland 2's Director's Cut switches it up this August. Now, the idea of a game having a Director's Cut is kind of a terrifying concept to me, because that just implies a level of misuse of the player's time that we just haven't seen before. The idea to come back, that they want you to come back and play the same game but there are slight changes, doesn't sound that good. Now, I guess technically we have seen this before, and this is being, the trailer's pointing out this as a Switch game. Nintendo has done Master Sword collections and more difficult versions of Zelda games, and those two arguably I wouldn't really want to play, or maybe I'd play the more difficult version. A lot of the Zelda different versions just have the maps flipped, so not a lot is really not really even changed that much. Let's see. Looking at Wasteland 2, it's a top-down, it looks like a twin-stick shooter, but it might be an XCOM-like game. Which, what did we call them before they were called XZone? It's a team-based RPG, focuses on multiple solutions. The quick take here is, I think it's great that the Switch is getting a good RPG like this. It should very well. Wasteland 2 improves significantly with the Director's Cut, so it's for the best that this version is being ported. It does seem that Brian Fargo is doing his best to get the Wasteland name out there now before what promises to be a busy 2019 year for the franchise and his final projects. Wow. Final projects from a programmer. You're basically saying he's never going to work again. I'm sure they didn't mean to phrase it that way, but that's how it reads. So maybe Director's Cut in this instance, and probably in a lot of instances for video games, is more of a euphemistic way of saying a Game of the Year edition, a patched edition, a special edition. I'm not as upset with those terms as the idea that there would be a theatrical cut that is at least allegedly on the same level as the Director's Cut, and you should see both. Because I'm kind of a fan of in the movie, not Total Recall. What's the name of the movie?
You have been.
I should know the name of the movie. I kind of love it. It's a Philip K. Dick story. That's why I think it's called Total Recall, but it's not. Well, there was this movie that had like 5 different cuts with very small, subtle edits to them. And I really don't feel like you need to see all 5 of them, but seeing the director's cut and seeing the theatrical cut do seem to be worth it, and I could be wrong about which cuts you actually should see. There's definitely lists online that will tell you. If I could just think of the name of the movie.
I will fight with honor. I will command the light.
It's a movie that had robots in it since, and Harrison Ford added to it, and it's very popular. It's where that Tears in the Rain speech that was ad-libbed happened. They made a continuation of it a couple years ago. It was pretty good, although kind of odd. It's a one-word name of a movie. No, it's Blade Runner. It's a 2-word movie. Yes. So you can see I'm probably not doing too well mentally if I can't even remember the name of Blade Runner. Blade Runner is the movie I was talking about. There are 5 cuts of that, and I'm a big fan of seeing the 2 versions that are important, but I'm not really a big fan of seeing all 5 or more versions. Speaking of movies that I think could do very well with a new cut, I watched on Netflix in the US Star Wars Episode 8, and I don't want to get into a full-on rant, and I'm not really a Star Wars fanboy anyways. I've said before, Babylon 5 was really my deal, so and if anything, it goes, I love Babylon 5, then I really like Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Wars is way further down the list. It's like, I really don't even care. So I don't have a pedantic hate because it's ruining my nostalgia or anything. I just think the writing is bad in Episode 8. They try to make it a comedy where, at least to my memory, it has always been a action adventure movie series with some comedic moments. And sure, maybe Episode 1 tried to push it more towards the comedy level, but it's not that great. So, you probably would end up with less than 90 minutes if you did this, but if you took all the comedic moments out, particularly the ones in the first 25 to 30 minutes of the movie, I think you'd set a very different tone that could have improved the movie a lot with just the footage that's being shown. The more footage that isn't actually on the screen and is left on the cutting room floor, the more I feel like I could probably, or I could, slash somebody with actual editing skill could improve upon that, the movie. There's a lot of other problems certainly with the movie, and I could go on a rant about it. There's just too many characters in the movie. There's too much going on, certainly. But I think if you just went for tonal changes, you could shift it a lot. I'm pretty sure they've done that with other Star Wars movies too. That there's probably an edit online of Episode 1, 2, and 3, where with just slight editing decision changes, you can shift it to a slightly better experience. Oddly though, Episode 7 is not on Netflix, so I still haven't seen that. Not really surprising though that the bad movie is on Netflix where the good one is still being sold on Blu-ray. Moving on, Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Silent Hill loses the PT fan remake, gains a book and a Fallout 4 mod. So we'd already heard the story that there was a "you've got to take this down" threat of legal action to the fan-made PT game, but apparently Rock Paper Shotgun is spinning this into a bigger story by adding some other non-relatedness. There's a Fallout 4 mod as a tribute to Silent Hills called Claustrophobia that is not a remake of the PT demo. It's just, I think, more of a inspired by, which is almost at that level just an advertisement, a way of advertising your mod to say, oh, it's inspired by this thing.
This is my responsibility.
Let's see.
Job done.
So, okay. I'll look at this 21-second video of it. So the video is in a area in Fallout 4, a modded area that looks in line with the hallway, but I'm not sure how long it goes or if it plays the same way. And then the story, there was a book that was released a few months back called Joel Couture from Indie Games did an entire book about PT, and he treats the entire production as a ghost investigation of a sort. So it's a book about, I assume, the demo and not a book that is actually set in universe and is a fantasy book. Although it might be half and half. What a way to stretch out your article, frankly. It's 3 pretty irrelevant things that would have been a paragraph alone, combined into 3 paragraphs for no real reason. Chat disconnected, chat reconnected on mine forum, like I said, the internet. PC Gamer has a article, new We Happy Few trailer offers confusing lesson in happiness. Let's see if this is the same trailer that I've seen before. Every time I go to PC Gamer, they're also saying, check out the Prime Day sales. And so far, from what I've seen, Prime Day sales aren't great for me. Although I am kind of a weird person to sell to because I kind of have everything I need. Or the things I want or the things I need are not in the level of something that would normally be for sale ever. They're too niche, they're too
your magic shall not
too
save
unique. More than anything, what I need is money. I can certainly always take some more games on Steam, but there's really no way to do that. Like, I suppose you could buy a Steam gift card right now during Prime Day sale, but I bet it's not at a discount. And I suppose any games you buy, I haven't seen any video games that are on a discount that would also give you a Steam code. So yeah, there's a real question there about, can you as a Steam gamer accomplish this? So this trailer is different. Apparently the character you're playing as has been grabbed by what I assume is the secret police of the We Happy Few universe, and they've taken him to a lab where they're like brainwashing him basically into being happy. Let's see, I only need to play 7 more and get 1 more victory. So we're doing good. I get the feeling that British people who are video game critics are going to like We Happy Few more than other countries' critics, since it's such a British-centric story. Or it might be the exact opposite, but yeah, I'm still not seeing a lot. We Happy Few has gone such transformations that I really am gonna have to wait till people play it and actually review it themselves, and I get some trusted reviews from somebody, because I'm right now very up in the air about what that game even is. Tech Raptor has an article: a coding typo ruined Xenomorph's AI in Aliens Colonial Marines. I have Aliens Isolation. The weird thing here is, as much as Randy Pitchford shoots his mouth off, this is one thing he probably would never speak to, because he was sued over it, and he's very bitter over that fact, over the game being misleading and the trailers being misleading. And he had the Aliens Colonial Marines was a Sega license, and Sega wasn't happy with them either, with Gearbox's development of the game. And it certainly seems like it went bad, and maybe they didn't, after a certain point, even really bug check more than a very lazy form of bug checking, because what, as I understand it, happened is somebody misspelled the word tether that would have told the AI of the Xenomorph what area he was in, so he could try and find the exits and entrances and flank you. And with that misspelling, the Xenomorphs just run straight towards you and are really easy to kill, and not really acting like what you would expect a Xenomorph from the Aliens movie series to act like. However, the misspelling would have thrown an error in any compiler if you're calling an object or a function that does not exist. So to fix the fact that it was at one point throwing an error, somebody, whether they were told to do this or not, made a second function with the word not spelled right, tether, misspelled, that did absolutely nothing. That's the only way I can understand that would have happened, because there were 2 functions, and one did a lot and one did nothing. It could be that this was some kind of QA thing for consoles, or some other platform that they were targeting. I would assume it was consoles, and the function actually crashed or didn't run, and so in a way of QAing for one thing, they decided to just disable a lot of code that they had already programmed. But the thing here is, while this would be a super easy patch that anybody can do, and you can go to Tech Raptor and see the instructions, I don't think they will ever admit mistake here and push out a patch on Steam. I don't think Gearbox would.
Let me think.
So the vast majority of people, if they're unlucky enough to buy Aliens Colonial Marines, are always going to have this bad experience, unless they read like reviews and say, you've got to fix this. And inherently, fixing this one thing doesn't fix all the other problems. To quote Tech Raptor's quick take here, It probably wouldn't have made the game any more popular on release, but it could have at least eased the burden on the poor souls who had to review it. Yeah, and as for now, we'll see if Gearbox goes back to fix the typo officially, or just lets the game fade back into obscurity. And inherently, I think probably the right response is to just let it fade back into obscurity. Like, they probably don't care. Unfortunately, Gearbox in general has hit a point where it's like, what do they care about? And what should I care about based on what they care about? Because they're really not doing a good job in their new publishing division to advertise the new games that they're publishing. They're not really doing a good job on releasing any games from themselves. Battleborn was the last game that was a first-party title. Everybody's still holding their breath on Borderlands 3. Although I did hear some people saying over the most recent trouble Randy Pitchford stepped into that they were not going to play Borderlands 3. I think that's probably a extreme commitment that those people are taking, and I'll see if I suspect they don't stick to it. But yeah, he may have lost some sales, and the whole thing about Randy Pitchford coming out and criticizing ArenaNet and the CEO of ArenaNet and his decision is just not good business. Like, if ArenaNet ever had any thoughts of partnering with Gearbox, they probably won't do it now, and that's not helpful for your company. Not helpful at all. CEOs of one company shouldn't come out and criticize CEOs of another company unless you've already created an Apple-Google scenario where the two companies hate each other quite a bit and we're never going to work together anyways. And this is probably the point where I need to admit that I feel kind of dumb that I didn't realize this, is the reason it's become apparent to me that the ArenaNet's mess was so misreported by news reporters is, yes, I got the part where they're all SJWs and they want to defend a woman who's crying she's being mistreated because she's a woman. I get that part, but what I didn't get is that there was probably another 50% of the mainstream video game media defending her actions, which was insulting people on Twitter in public and then getting fired for being rude and insulting people. The other part of that I didn't realize is the reason why the mainstream video game journalists want to defend that and say that's right. And as I've heard many of them talk about it and go, yeah, our company should totally defend us, or our company totally does defend us, is
Your magic shall not save you.
it took me a long time to realize this. They all want to talk poop, basically. So, every single Jim Sterling is probably a great example because he does talk poop, I imagine, to people and insults people randomly on Twitter. So, it's really an issue, at least for I think half of the people who were supporting the writers in the ArenaNet mess and over the ArenaNet company, is because they themselves, the journalists, want to be able to get on Twitter and insult people. Which, boy, does that not look good. Like, when you get that perspective, when you give off the air of that perspective, That is not good. That's a cable company level of customer service, where it's like, we don't care, we're just gonna make fun of you. You could get away with some of that, like if you're Wendy's Twitter and you're being memey and funny, but you have to be really careful. The customer maybe isn't always right. Maybe that old adage is a little bit off, but the customer should always be treated with respect. Nobody who runs a business should disagree with that opinion, even if they're wrong. Let's see. Surprisingly, there's another Tether story. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article, the terraforming tail Tether placed on indefinite hold. So there's this game called Tether, apparently, that has been placed on indefinite hold. I'd never heard of it, and this is certainly one of those instances where games are getting so hyped up and announced so early that it's totally possible to announce a game and then it never come out, and that's just not a good system. Alright, so I need to play one paladin card. Odds are I could play one paladin card playing as the mage. So let's move over to Tempo Mage. The quote here is, this week I've decided to put Tether game on ice for the foreseeable future. This is just due to two factors. One, we've been an unfunded team for 2 years now, and I can't allow the wonderful people I work with to continue to grind away with any sort of financial reward seemingly, and then it goes ... and they don't report on this. This is definitely a problem. Like, come on, if somebody does a 2-tweet thing, and arguably, I don't even know why this guy did a 2-tweet tweet, since I don't think he took up the 240 new limit. But so many, I guess, people are using TweetDeck and other services that are still at 140 maybe? That's the only reason why I could see that you would break that. And so I don't even know what the... Job's done. The summary that the article says is that the workers on the unfunded game went unpaid for 2 years, and Gregory was tired of both wasting their time and burning himself alive financially, which means he was paying them and he doesn't want to pay him. Which, fair enough. But that is also an indicator that if you're going to make a game, you really need to get the funding. And if you can't get a business loan for 4 to 5 years to make that game, or a loan from somebody, or an investment from somebody for 4 to 5 years, your game idea and your game pitch is not good enough, and you're just not ready to hit even the pre-production stage. The opposite of that, of course, is to get Kickstarter to fund your game, or some other service like Kickstarter to fund your game, so you don't have to get a loan and don't have to make as good of a business pitch. And a lot of a business pitch is also, how are you going to pay people? How are you going to buy the equipment? Are there going to be offices? Things like that are not mentioned in Kickstarters at all, usually. And I don't recommend, certainly, that people fund Kickstarter games. So I guess inherently that does mean I kind of wish everybody was working with a publisher and everybody was working with a big company, and only big games that are massively appealing should be made if you're going to have a team and if you're going to make a big game. I think there's also a split there where you can be a small indie developer that is a team of less than 5 people, all willing to put their time and effort into it for free to make their dream come true. But I don't know if there's really a middle ground between it. I think there's indie people who are going to fund it themselves, and then there should be publishers of some sort. Maybe Digital Devolver would be the closest to a middle ground between an indie developer and not. In the end, this is really just a financial situation of just not having the money to make the project you want to make, which often happens. Moving on, Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Duncan Jones is making a Rogue Trooper movie. The director of Moon, which I assume Moon, they mean the Western Moon movie. There was a Korean Moon movie that was pretty good, too. In fact, I think the Korean Moon movie was better than the Western Moon movie. But they weren't the same movie. They weren't the same story at all. Is making a Rogue Trooper. I don't know what Rogue Trooper is.
Warriors of the frozen wastes.
Rogue Trooper is a 2000 AD comic series created by Gary Finley Day. And so, okay, this is not even really video game related. I don't know why this got listed as a video game. Oh, because the comic book series was released as a game called Rogue Trooper Redux, which are these blue trooper-esque characters. See, this game right now is sitting at 66% positive, so it's not a great game. It would be a hard justification, certainly, to have the game, play the game just because a movie is in development that may take a considerable amount of time, if ever, to actually come out. But I guess the connection is here, so I'll keep a wish list on this Rogue Trooper Redux. But I don't even know if I'd really want to play the blue characters. They don't, not visually appealing. It just looks like Avatar people. Without the alienness of the Avatar elements. Okay. So we're gonna do this, and this. Attack that there. Get that there. Job's done. In return. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. I don't know why I'm seeing more Rock Paper Shotgun articles. I thought I muted them. Northern Springs brings Frosty Adventure to Fallout 4. It's a mod. I don't think I really have time to talk about mods for Fallout 4. There's a YouTuber that covers mods for Fallout. Although he mostly just covers the skin and clothing mods more than anything else. Let's see. Guess we'll look and see what the mod really does. It just seems like it's more gameplay. It says 50 new locations to explore, 25 quests. It's a pretty big mod, it looks like, for Fallout 4. I don't think it fixes Fallout 4 though. Like, the last thing I would want is more Fallout 4. Gematsu has an article, Brave Fencer Musashi, Musashi, 20th anniversary commemorative video. Square Enix has released a special video to commemorate the 20th anniversary. This is a action RPG game, but there's nothing here saying that they're releasing a remaster. It was it was the came out for the original PlayStation, so I don't know why they would spend the money to do this, other than maybe in an effort to see if there's perhaps interest in making another game in the series. Like that's kind of all you could take it as.
Job's done.
Skip through the trailer. It's just rather a bunch of stills with probably some dialogue or music over it. It's not a lot. Not a lot. So I'm not even sure if Brave Fencer Musashi came out to the West 20 years ago. I'd be very surprised if it did. But let's see, should we play casual or should we play classic mage? Let's try that. I don't know how that, like, how can you really report on that and have anything to say? It's just like, yeah, somebody made a video for a 20th anniversary, but they didn't announce that they're doing anything other than that. And we've seen other Japanese companies do that, where it's like, oh yes, it's the anniversary of Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 2. We're not doing anything.
Watch your back. You asked for it.
In the mod that is remastering and redoing all the graphics for Resident Evil 4, since that just reminded me, put out a new update. It's not fully finished, but now would be a good time to download it anyways, just in case they get DMCA'd.
None will survive.
But one of the things it said was use this program called the 4GB patch tool that allows 32-bit programs to use 4 GB of virtual RAM instead of 2 GB of virtual RAM. Inherently, I don't think this is going to fix the stuttering problems on my computer with the GTX 970, which I assume is the problem. But I definitely want to try it, and so I downloaded that program, and it's a program for kind of any 32-bit program, so if anything is running a little sluggish, I wouldn't recommend patching games before you try, but if something seems like it's a little sluggish and it worked before when you were on a 32-bit operating system and it doesn't work when you move to a 64-bit operating system, give it a try and see what happens. PC Gamer has a article, the Newegg Fantastic Prime Day PC Gaming Deals of 2018. So it's fantastic, but with tech as the last part of the word, TECK. Lots of companies, I saw Newegg, but I've heard also lots of other companies are matching prices and trying to get in on the Amazon.com Prime Day. So they got maybe 1 or 2 years of a sale day by themselves, and now they've created competition, which is good for the consumer in the small part, but frankly we should have competition in prices every day, not on very specific days where they try to get you to buy a bunch of things that you don't actually need. And so this PC Gamer article then goes on to list some sales, like an i7 8700 and motherboard combo for $400 $124. The Acer Predator gaming laptop for $1,000. An iBuyPower computer for $1,300. An i5 8600K for $234. Frankly, let's just skip all the gaming laptops and computers because these deals are not really good deals unless you absolutely were saving up your pennies and in the process of buying a game. If you're buying a second laptop or a second computer, that ain't a good deal. And cheapest laptop I've seen that's a gaming laptop is $650. Getting RAM might make sense. There's some G.Skill Ripjaw 5 series 16 gigabytes of DDR RAM in 2 packages, so that's 2 times 8 gigabytes of RAM. Let's see. There's a Gigabyte X470 Azores Ultra Gaming AM4 motherboard for $109. That's probably maybe a little bit of a detailed deal. 500 gigabyte Western Digital Blue SSD for $100. Not really a good deal. Windows 10 Home Edition for $80. Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1080 WindForce OC for $449. I should buy that, frankly, if I was going to buy a video card, but I'm trying to live with the 970 and go to an 1180 in the next series. So whenever the 1100 series comes out, that's what I'd like to buy. Yeah, most of these prices don't seem like they're really deals. I recommend everybody check out sites like slickdeals.net and look at the real deals that happen over the course of the year compared to most sales that are just like 10% off, barely any real difference. I should have drawn cards first there, by the way. Game of Citra has an article. Coming soon, question mark. German court bans vague release dates on pre-orders. Germany has banned vague release dates for pre-orders, meaning retailers won't be able to list pre-orders without also providing a shipping date. This is... I mean, you certainly, in any ruling like this, can go two ways. So you could say it's the European government overreaching and creating nanny states, or you could go the way I think it, and I'm like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like, I think inherently though, this just says they have to list a date. It doesn't say they actually have to make that date. So the higher regional court ruled that consumers must know when they can expect a delivery after placing pre-orders. So now on, they won't be able to use unclear terminology like coming soon or release date to be announced. I guess is what they're trying to say there. This ruling applies to all products listed for pre-order in the region, including video games. Of course, the decision won't affect how pre-orders operate in other countries like the United States or UK. Although, arguably, if we can see a release date listed in that region, then you can kind of get the release date or range. The thing here is, at least in this Game of Sutra article, there's nothing here that says what happens if they miss that release date. Are they fined a small amount? Are they fined a little amount? Does nothing happen? Are consumers entitled to a full refund of their pre-order if it's not delivered in a certain time.
Begin.
You asked for it.
Let's see. The Eurogamer article here is like word for word the same article, it seems. Didn't even seem like they changed anything. Yeah, there's no indication whatsoever of what the penalty could be or wouldn't be. Chat disconnected again. Apologies to anybody that's trying to chat. Today is just not your day. If you put something in the chat and you want me to respond to it, put it down in the comments in this video or some other video. I'll eventually catch it and respond. Apologies. We have a game on Steam, The Thief of Thieves Season 1. This is a game that I saw earlier and had caught my eye as a adventure stealth with choices matter according to the tags. And it's now out on July 16th. It's a Season 1 game, and that's a problem. That means, to me, at the very least, it can only, at best, be a game that I wishlist and keep an eye on. There's too many games I have already that I haven't finished already. Thief of Thieves is rated M for drug references and strong languages. It's 10% off for $22.49 for Season 1. Yeah, I feel like there just needed to have been more. Just a little bit more. What am I asking for here? I want more. Well, I don't want it to be Season 1, is what I don't want it to be. I want it to be the complete game. They say it's based on Robert Kirkman's comic book series. It's a female character, seems to be the main character. Or at least one of them. Yeah, I'm just gonna wishlist this and move on. If you're willing to risk the fact that there might not be a continuation after Season 1, that's your choice, I suppose. Yeah, I have too many games like The Walking Dead and Telltale games that either don't have a continuation or completion of their story, or I just haven't purchased the continuation or completion of their story. This will be the last game we play for this recording, by the way. And certainly I haven't gotten around to finishing all of that. I need to finish The Walking Dead. Yeah. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. The Uncharted live-action fan film starring Nathan Fillion has been released. It's a 15-minute movie. And I guess if I just hit play here, yeah, it is a straight-up 15-minute movie. Nathan Fillion is a weird one because it's like sometimes I see reasons why people shouldn't like him and shouldn't support him, and sometimes I see people who are totally in love with him and want to totally support him because he was in Firefly. I would argue he's probably the worst part as far as actors in Firefly. But for Nathan Fillion to be a part of a fan film kind of speaks in a weird way to, like, he probably would never get hired by Naughty Dog to be in the real film. He probably has burnt any bridges to work with Naughty Dog by doing this. It's just not professional for a professional actor to be in a fan film. unless it's some weird case where you've danced around and gotten permission from everybody, and everybody's fine and happy with it. There were Star Trek fan movies and TV series that were made, and they got some of the actors to be in that, and I know they danced around it and made specific double sure that they weren't stepping on anybody's toes. And I don't think Nathan Fillion probably did that. As for this 15-minute Uncharted film, it's 15 minutes long. It doesn't really seem like it has much of anything in it, as I just kind of fast forwarded through all of that. I need to get one more mage victory, and let's see, one more paladin card. Arguably, in the next recording, we'll just get the paladin card and move over to the into the European account. Come to think of it, I very possibly could just re-roll this tomorrow and have 3 things to do on Wednesday. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. If you want to support me, friend me on Steam, gift me a game. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, July 16th, Amazon Prime Day. Not that that's really helping me any. Because of that, because it's Monday, I really only need to play this one Paladin card, then I need to move over to the European account. So let's hop in and play one Paladin game, and then we'll be fine enough. I may re-roll the win 2 victories with the mage card tomorrow and try to get some more gold. Now would be the time to re-roll and get more gold, since we are getting double gold right now per quest. So moving a 50 gold challenge to a 60 gold challenge doesn't increase it by 10 gold, it increases it by 20.
I will fight.
And if I can get 100 gold challenge, by all means, take it. Let's see. Just take this Paladin card and hold on to it so we know. We've got a game on Steam called Survival Island. This is basically an asset flip. You can tell by the name. It looks very pretty. We've certainly hit that point where all these Survivor Rust-like games have so much assets that they can flip that it looks rather good. But the problem at this point is making a Survivor realistically animated game is such a cliche that it makes no sense to do. Like, it's so generic. The Culling 2, for instance, it came out and failed immediately for the same reason. They just came out with a generic battlegrounds PUBG clone, and there's just, the market's so flooded with that already with just Fortnite and PUBG. There's not enough room for a third Battle Royale game. And the market is so flooded with Minecraft and Rust and a few other survival games that they caught on. There's no more room for survival games. We've got a game on Steam called Lost Lands Ice Spell. This says it's an adventure casual hidden object game. These hidden object games always are really weird, and how over animated they often seem to be. Like, I'm seeing a full-on trailer with all kinds of magical creatures wandering around this ice world.
I don't need any of you.
This seems to be like Ice Giant Nordic storyline, but it's just a hidden object game. I kind of wonder if game ideas just get sold, or a half-developed game just gets sold to people and they just make a hidden object game out of it. Like, the developer and publisher of this is 5-Bin Games, 5-BN Games. It's selling for $6.99, which would be about £5.19. £5.19. So if it's a 5 British Note Games, in the name they know what they're doing. That being said, as far as hidden object games are concerned, most of the games developed and published by this developer are rated positively. So I should probably put it in my wish list and keep an eye on it. Unlike the Big Fish games that make hidden object games that are $20 to start with and are these crazy collector's editions, or they're labeled as collector's editions for no reason. This is a much more reasonable price to start with, at least, and see if maybe they go down cheaper later on. We have a experiment of a game. This is like it looks like a student project that somebody would do in the first or second year of computer programming in college. It's called Voice Shooter, quote, Piff Paff, and it's a non-widescreen scroll to the top shooter game, arcade style space shooter, that is controlled by you saying certain phrases like boom boom was piff puff into the microphone, which I don't think I would want to do that. I don't think I'd ever would want to do that. And frankly, I don't know how I'd review that game, because I can't talk then, can I? If I have to talk to the computer. There's been a couple of games out that have been made, certainly, that are voice controlled, but I don't think any of them have ever actually worked, which is kind of crazy. You'd think that with Amazon Alexa and Google Echo and all of them, that they would have some kind of API that you can put in the games, or at least PC games, and have them actually work. Let's see. This game, Piff Paff, is 25% off for $1.49. It's not worth buying, certainly. Next game we have on Steam is called The Life's Lane. It says it's a casual indie simulation adventure game. Doesn't look great. It looks like it's a montage of flipped 2D assets. It's probably a troll game, frankly. Yeah. The background on this game is so full of garbage that I can't even tell what the game is, but what I can tell looks awful. It's $6.99, and The Life's Lane is not worth talking about anymore. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article how Metal Wolf Chaos is coming to the PC after 14 years. I think the story is kind of pretty obvious that the Digital Devolver, I think jokingly, and I don't think any of this was like pre-planned, asked, what games do you want us to announce a re-release for? And they were just like, any random game, we'll publish it. And somebody who I think worked for Metal Wolf Chaos said Metal Wolf Chaos, and they said maybe. And then I think at that point they actually got in contact with them. If there was negotiation before this, it was a pretty good effort on Digital Devolver to hype up and make something feel natural that was actually a negotiated plan. Why Metal Wolf Chaos? Probably because it is an unknown game, and a basically unknown game works pretty well for Digital Devolver. Yep, the story here is Devolver does a joke tweet. And it was from that joke tweet, or at least that's how what they're saying is happening. And of course, what they're doing here is they're hyping up a probably bad, probably unknown game for no real reason. It's gonna sell initially better than it should, but after that point, it's gonna once again just like disappear. But I'm glad it's coming to PC. Certainly, I can't disagree with games coming to PC. I love when that happens. I'm just gonna end my turn here because I have 9 cards to play next turn. PC Gamer has an article, is Amazon Prime worth it for game? Here's what an Amazon Prime subscription gets you and why Amazon's Twitch acquisition makes it worth it all. I think it's very much worth it because you're getting these free games from the Twitch per month, assuming you're going to Twitch at least once a month and clicking it. And the Amazon Prime Day giveaways of games for the past week have been really, really good. A lot better than the entire year up until this point. Let's see. The price for Amazon Prime is like $119 or $60 for students. So get it while you're a student and keep it for as long as you possibly can. I think they will eventually figure out you're no longer a student after a while. But job's done. The Prime Day deals, so far I haven't seen a lot of them that are great. Usually you can get like SD cards and memory cards and things like that on a decent deal. Kind of depends on what you have and what you don't have. Then the Twitch Prime games are pretty good. For me personally, the faster speed shipping is not useful because I get packages in about the same time either way. I just happen to be in a centrally located enough location that happens to one of their warehouses. However, free shipping on things and not having to worry about, do I really need to buy this now or do I need to find $25 more so I can get over $35 to get free shipping, is certainly nice. If you do 3 or 4 purchases in a year with Amazon, and you're buying like $10 or $20 of extra stuff you wouldn't have bought anyways, you're approaching the point where the free shipping alone. Prime Video, I like that certainly. So you can watch a lot of movies on Prime Video and a few things. There are a few TV series. By far, I still spend 90% of all my time watching Netflix over Amazon Prime, but every now and then I will just go to Amazon Prime and say, hey, let's see what they've got. They have some original content that you really can't get any other way. 2 games any class, destroy 35 minions, 12 minions that cost 5 or more. Let's get rid of that one. And then we're gonna have to keep on playing Paladin. Oh well. At least on the... Nope, it's the same old Murloc Paladin. At least we're making progress to rank 20. I don't have an Amazon Prime Rewards Visa signature card. I don't think I probably should get that credit card. Although it does give you 5% cash back on all purchases from Amazon.com or Whole Foods Market.
I will fight with honor.
So that's kind of nice. Although there are credit cards that will give you 5% cash back on all purchases, which is a lot more realistic. I was hoping Amazon's Prime Day this year would be a percentage off all purchases, and I guess the only way I could have done that is if I got the Amazon Visa card, and I don't really want to do that. Let's see. And PC Gamer has a updated article, the best Prime Day PC gaming deals for Amazon, Newegg, and more. And let's see, it says click here to head to the Amazon's PC gaming page, and click here to see the Newegg deal. And then it's just talking about deals I've already mentioned. That for the most part, none of them are good deals unless you were planning on purchasing a computer in the very recent amount of time. See, and even as a person who's planning on buying a video card in the next 6 months to a year, I still don't see a great deal. Amazon has like a racing wheel 50% off for still $200. I'd love to get a racing wheel, but I wouldn't do that. See, I don't know if I've gotten to the point where I'm seeing European deals. This page is a little bit more updated than the one I saw before. A range extender, 50% off a Netgear range extender. Might be an interesting move. Fortunately, I don't need it. Just continuously scrolling down. If you want an Amazon Kindle or a Fire tablet or something like that, now would be the time to buy those things. Certainly. I really don't have time to shop while streaming. I do much better to just finish the stream and get back to shopping for the rest of the day, which is what I plan on doing. Actually, I really can't do anything right now. The internet's messed up, and there's just a lot of uploading that needs to happen, so once the internet is not messed up, I still have a lot of work to do. Discover secret. And that.
Repent.
Draw some cards quickly. In return. Gamasutra has a blog, Time Manipulation in Unity Recorded Solutions. This is a programmer blog that I don't think most people would be interested in unless you're interested in programming. If you're interested in programming, it might be a little bit interesting, but I think it would be pretty top level information too. This isn't like a entire step-by-step tutorial. So you're gonna have to work within that element. Just taking its sweet time, game. Why don't you just draw the cards a little bit faster? I won't mind.
Repent.
Let's see. Next article we have, is this gonna load? You're a Gamer, the best Prime Day 2018 deals on games and beyond. Particularly looking at Your Gamer's coverage of that is not going to be helpful for me. There's a lot of lists here that are just text-based links to things.
My hand is too full.
But yeah, I don't know which of those things are things that would be available to people in the United States. So yeah, the sales probably are different. And arguably, Amazon would have been better had they done a different Prime Day in different countries. That way you don't have everybody hitting the service at the same time. I guess it really doesn't matter too much because one assumes that they're going to amazon.co.uk in Europe, and if there's other Prime Day sales like in Japan, it would be amazon.jp, and so all those websites theoretically would be different websites selling theoretically different products. I don't know how much actual connection between the different services there are, considering you'd have to ship the products across the world if it's bought in one country and being sold from another, and that certainly does happen, but I don't think that's by default the way things work for everything.
Job's done.
And see, there's another PC Gamer article. Our favorite budget gaming laptop is $150 off, which still makes it $899. I misread this article and thought it was $150 in total, and yeah, then it would have been a good deal, certainly. Ignoring buying hardware and physical things, PC Gamer also has the Humble Store is having a pixel perfect platformer sale. The sale runs for a week. So Cuphead is 20% off for $16. Rayman Origins is $7. Limbo is $2.50. Let's see. Candle is $5. Trine Enhanced Edition is $2. Let's see. Cluster Truck is $7. So there's a decent number of games there for sale at Humble Store. If somebody wanted to pick those up and then send me the Steam code, that would certainly be wonderful. Direct message it to me on Twitter if you'd be so kind. I doubt anybody will agree to that, but
Your magic shall not save you.
I'd love to have Cuphead, certainly. That's one game that I wanted to cover as it was coming out, and it was just a little too expensive, and I really couldn't afford it at the time. Guess I'll keep on playing. I made progress on everything. And boy, do I have a ton of pages that are just talking about the Prime Day sales. I think we've talked enough about Prime Day. It's time to move on. We probably talked too much about it. Again, I want to point out that right now the internet is just so messed up. If anybody's chatting, I'm not seeing it. Apologies. If you have something that you really want to ask, put it in the comments when this video is done, or on a comment on a different one of my videos, and I'll respond to those as best I can. But right now on my phone, it's just disconnecting from chat and reconnecting from chat, and I'm not saying anything. Yes, according to Game Master, the Disgaea for smartphone teaser trailer is available to see. Disgaea 1 for smartphones, I assume, is what they're doing. That's my guess. Maybe it's a completely separate Disgaea game specifically made for smartphones. I believe there's a chance, I'm not sure it's been confirmed, that they're going to do a Disgaea game of some sort for Disgaea 1 on Steam, because I don't think they have that right now. And this teaser trailer is certainly a tease. It's not showing much of anything. Although, frankly, because it's for a cell phone game, it's not going to show much for anything anyways. Because that's just not how things work.
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocation.
Moving on. I already talked about the Resident Evil 4 fan remaster being almost finished and being available for download. I'd say grab the download now because who knows. I'm in a weird position with Resident Evil 4 because I think Resident Evil 5 ran choppy too, and I think Resident Evil 6 ran choppy. So I think all the Resident Evil games ran choppy, and I just have this in my head thought that Resident Evil 6 actually ran well. Or no, I know Resident Evil 6 ran well, but Resident Evil 5 ran well, and I don't think that really was the case. I think maybe 5 was running good pretty for the most part at the beginning, but then it got choppy later. So as part of this HD remaster, they talk about the 4GB tool, which I've already mentioned, that you should use that on 32-bit programs and games so that they can use 4GB of virtual RAM instead of 2GB of virtual RAM to maybe improve them. I still don't think you would by default should just enable that and use that, but I could certainly see it being useful if you're already having problems. And the 4GB patch tool is its own separate thing that works seemingly with any 32-bit program. I'm gonna need to play around with that. Gematsu has an article. Inazuma 11 Aries details soccer matches and Toy Link. Inazuma 11 is a soccer anime that they're making into a game. It's a kids show from best as I can tell, and so it's going to have a Toy Link of some sort. I think when I saw it, it was more of a kind of bracelet type thing that might just be a step counter. The game Inazuma 11 is, from what it looks like to me, a RPG based soccer game, so your stats probably have to be up high enough to win the soccer game. It's not just a simulation of a soccer game. Let's see. It's called the 11 Band and 11 Licensed Toys. Send training power once a day, get experience points or Nekiketsu. points depending on your teammate, If you transfer SP training power obtained by password, you can get convenience items for the use in the game. Let's see. 11 license.
I wonder.
This.
Reporting for justice.
Do that. Says Neki Ketsu points are points that are required to obtain secret books for learning techniques, as well as items and equipment. Neki Ketsu points are also required for training and practice matches. It seems almost like you can't play some of the game or any of the game without the Neki Ketsu points. I imagine if this comes to the West that there will be different things connected with that, because I don't think that would work in the West. Let's see, Azuma 11 is out for the PS4, Switch, iOS, and Android in Japan this fall, in the West in 2019. And we'll see, certainly, if the Toy Link is part of that, or if that element just gets completely removed.
Uther versus Rexar.
Yeah. The Toy Link doesn't seem like it actually is a step counter or an actual toy. It seems more like you're buying toys and getting DLC, kind of like Lego Dimensions, which that was something I bought a bunch of Lego Dimensions because they're just going now on clearance. They're going out of sale, and there's and the price is not great on them even as they're going at clearance. I could probably get better deals if I went around and shopped at local stores and got them at clearance then, but it would take a lot more time, a lot more effort. Moving on, Rock Paper Shotgun has an article in Roguelike Chess Adventure Chogue, C-H-O-G-U-E, you hunt the king, and then it's showing me a picture of what looks like a MS-DOS based chess game, and it's chess and rogue combined, and you play it in the browser, so this is not really a game that matters to me. The graphics don't look that good, so I guess the idea, the joke here is that the king runs off the chessboard immediately, and then you're in this roguelike game where you're going through a dungeon, basically, probably fighting several other creatures. Let's see, we've got a game called Amazed Apostrophe D. Amaze Apostrophe D. Is this the developer who has made all the other Amaze games that he floods Steam with Amaze games every now and then?
Repent.
Doesn't seem like that's the case, but it might be. See, Amaze D is $3.99, and graphics don't look terrible. It looks like it's a maze of some sort where you're walking on tiles and avoiding traps. This is the first game from this developer, so it's not the same developer that makes the Amaze series. And it's the second game from this publisher. And I think in an effort to just kind of save myself some time, I'm gonna wishlist Amaze Apostrophe D and just keep an eye on it. Probably won't get it ever, as it looks pretty good, but I kind of question that. So I need to keep an eye on it and see what the reviews say about it. 14 more Paladin cards need to be played. Gematsu has an article, God Wars 2 has been announced. Not to be confused with God of War 2, which was announced a long time ago. So, this is a sequel to the Japanese Legends and Folklore themed tactical RPG God Wars. The first entry in the series, God Wars Future Past, was released on the PS4 and PS Vita in June 2017, followed by the Switch in June 2018. So one could probably assume that it is coming out for the PS4 and Switch when it comes out. But you don't know that for sure. It could come out for the Xbox too. It could come out for PC. A lot has changed recently in the minds of Japanese developers on what platforms they want to support. Next we have a Eurogamer article. Nintendo bans the Splatoon 2 cheater who hacked the game to ask Nintendo to ban the cheaters. So there was a cheater that hacked the top players leaderboard that said please add anti-cheat, and they banned him. Now I think this is kind of a somewhat pedantic issue, because I think in the original story even the hacker said I don't care. Yeah, here's the quote: Nintendo, you're welcome to ban my console anytime. My purpose was to call attention to the current issues, and by calling attention to the issues that they don't want to deal with, they took him up on his offer and banned him. Kind of unsurprisingly. Man, if I could have just played one more. But I couldn't, so kill that. Meanwhile, if I was ever to get around to playing Splatoon, I'd probably be the only person online, and so it's a game I'm gonna have to abandon any hopes of ever playing, just on the fact that I'm probably never gonna get around to having a Switch in a timely manner, in a sense that I didn't own a Wii U either, and so a lot of the Wii U games are getting re-released for the Switch, so it would make sense to buy an old Switch once the Switch 2 comes out and get some of the collection that would have built up. Of course, I have such a backlog on PC games, I don't think I'll ever have time to really get around and play a Nintendo game. I think Nintendo is just going to be a no-go zone for me. Plus, you can't stream it on YouTube because they content ID and claim everything. Eurogamer has an article. Blizzard says their Overwatch new systems are improving in-game behavior. We'll see how long that lasts, and if it's true, then great. We found a system after thousands of years of trying to improve people's behavior. We finally found something that works. And that's basically what they're saying, and I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Repent.
Let's see, I'm looking at what looks like a first year computer programmer project type game. It's a finished project certainly, but it's not visually appealing at all. It's horribly small pixel graphic characters. You're running around platforming and shooting at things. It's kind of like a Spelunky clone if Spelunky was really, really bad.
Repent.
Your magic shall not save us.
Yeah, I don't think this game is worth even mentioning, but I'll say The Amazing Adventures of Lady Fanny Featherstone is 20% off for $3.19. It just doesn't look high enough quality. And it's from a developer who's made several games and listed them, and they've just not sold enough to even be reviewed. I heard from, I think, Northern Lion, the YouTube streamer's podcast, that some people on Reddit seem to be upset with the new popular releases section. I wouldn't have thought that really anybody would have been upset with that, but I guess there is somebody out there that is. Because I thought that was a pretty fair way to improve the experience for people trying to actually see games that they're interested in. And while I could see how it could feel like that they are making it even harder for small time developers to get any views or impressions, inherently I have to go back to the fact that Valve has never been an advertising market. Unlike YouTube, where YouTube was both supposed to be promoting your video and hosting your video, Valve clearly has made it as best as they could that they are just hosting your games and doing the DRM and handling the sales. They are not your advertisement market, so you should be advertising in other directions. And I'm kind of glad that Valve doesn't seem like they're really advertising or pushing games.
The light has betrayed me.
Sorry, I'm yawning. Here we have a game called Outside the Lines, where it's a competitive player where you play as a crown trying to compete and shoot each other in a top-down shooter. It's kind of an interesting thought. It's free, but I don't think it's a fully thought out and fleshed idea of a game.
Reporting for duty.
You probably only spend a couple hours on it and then get bored and leave. Let's see, we already talked about that. I don't think I'm playing very many Paladin cards, yeah. See, I still need like 19. Next game we have on Steam is called Bleeding Sun. It's tagged RPG Maker. And well, the trailer is kind of fancy and it says it seems to be set in a feudal time Japan with ninjas and all. The game is just an RPG Maker game, and that is still a problem. That still tells me it's not tier level quality. Interesting also, while it's a feudal Japan story, the languages are English and Portuguese Brazil. So, like, that's not Japanese. And I kind of could tell that from the animation style too that they use. This is not a Japanese animation style, this is a Western animation style. And so I don't think they're gonna hit the story on the head. Like, I'm not gonna go into a longer argument and say that non-Japanese people can't write stories about a Japanese character. That's ridiculous. Artists can write anything they want. Whether or not somebody else wants to read it is a different issue. But it does give me an indication of poor planning, particularly when you top that off with the RPG Maker being used as your engine. It shows a lack of effort and attempts to just be a also ran type game that might accidentally trick some people into getting to purchasing it. Moving on, Gemetsu says we have a new Naku Koro ni title and Yumi Niko no Naku Koro ni Saku. So those are 2 games. New Naku Koro ni title is 1, and then Yumi Niku no Naku Koro ni Saku. Probably visual novels, if I was to guess. Possibly a story of 2 characters experiencing the same events from different perspectives, or the same time frame from different perspectives. As I scroll down, Nakikoro ni is When They Cry series. So, and
Let's move quickly.
So yeah, if they had translated that to English, the new When They Cry series, those are visual novels.
Let me
I believe. Let's go ahead and end this turn. Eurogamer. Why am I getting so many Eurogamer articles too? What is going on with my Twitter that I'm started getting articles from people I really don't want to get articles from? Eurogamer has an article, the Microsoft's classic IntelliMouse review. Now hardware is getting the remastering treatment. So the IntelliMouse has been remastered to be the same shape basically. But maybe with less buttons, or slightly smoother or improved button layout. Probably not a lot changed.
The victory is yours.
I really don't need to read a mouse review, so I'm gonna just move on. And we're getting wins. You cannot deny that. Need to kill more minions. We've got a game on Steam called Bring the Light, and this thumbnail looks like the character is, the main monster is a xenomorph, or at least heavily inspired by a xenomorph. But this is a VR puzzle horror game where you're bouncing light. It seems like that's the main gameplay mechanic when you're not, it seems like mostly just walking around in a escape the monster horror dungeon. Yeah, I'm not sure how many people want to play VR games, and I think the percentage of people that want to play VR games is significantly reduced when you ask them, do you want to play horror VR games? And while the environments seem very claustrophobic and closed in compared to most VR games where you're outside in a generic field, still feels like there's not a lot in the environments. Bring the Light is $19.99, and it seems like it requires VR, but it's one of these games that doesn't have the warning that requires VR, so Steam is very off and on about whether it applies those warnings. Also, I haven't seen anything labeled early access with the early access badge today, so maybe I just haven't seen any early access games. That's kind of surprising, but whatever. Maybe people are going to stop doing the early access thing now that they're getting the blue badge of shame. Next game we have on Steam is called Immortals, which seems to be like a... They're saying it's a fast-paced fighting, and it's a SLG. I don't know what SLG means.
Let me think.
Single level game?
Put this apple on your head.
it seems like you position your character, and based on where you position them, that's how they can attack in turn-based turns. It kind of has a feeling of an RPG Maker game, but it really isn't made with RPG Maker. It's its own system. It's not a pretty system. And inherently, when I combine confusion on what this game is with the fact that it's not pretty, I don't know how I could justify even wishlisting it. Immortals is 20% off for $30.19, but for me, I think it's gotta be a pass. This is the second game by its developer. The previous one has no ratings. Like, a lot of the games that are old that have no ratings also imply that even before Discovery 2.0 happened, a lot of people weren't buying these games or seeing them. Even the Discovery 1.0 was, I think, doing its job pretty well. And frankly, I'm not sure Steam has ever actually flooded for the average consumer's experience. If you're just going to the front page, I don't think you were running into a lot of bad, low-effort games. I think the problem was heavily exaggerated by people like Jim Sterling. And the reality of the situation was much different. I could be wrong, though. But the indication when I see these really old games that are a year or two old, and they have no reviews, that means something. Next game we have on Steam is called The Strangers. It's an indie action-adventure horror game according to the tags. The thumbnail looks like garbage, but then the trailer of it looks pretty good until they cut away drastically from the character because they didn't want you to see the horrible graphics they have for the people. Or they didn't cut away fast enough, so you still got at least a silhouette or outline of the way it looks. So this game, The Strangers, is $1.99.
To battle!
I need to destroy monsters. Keep reminding myself to do that. So, yep, I'm not interested in The Strangers. Let's see. Your Gamer has this weird article called "The U.S. Town Ruled by an AI Storyteller." Let's see. Sheldon County tells the story of a fictional American town and the people who inhabit it over the course of 150 years. It is the result of two programs that run in parallel. Pin, which simulates each day and night in the history of a fictional American county over 150 years, and Sheldon, which in turn shifts through the accumulated history to find interesting storylines and dramatic nuggets that have actually emerged over the course of the simulation based on narrative patterns authored by Ryan. So it's almost it's story writing done by AI. Interesting. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how much this really has to do with video games though, or why Your Gamer is talking about it. Like, this whole article has nothing to do with video games. It's not linking to any game. This is just an experiment being run by a PhD student in University of California, Santa Cruz. And apparently it gets turned into a podcast called Sheldon County that you can see on SoundCloud. So why is Your Gamer talking about that at all? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Kill this guy. Kill a few minions. See, this is part of the reason why I don't like reading Eurogamer articles, is because they're not even video game articles. But the next one I have is a Eurogamer article. The Culling 2 Battle Royale flop forces difficult decision about the future of the developer. Just 2 active users in the last 24 hours. So, almost certainly what's going to happen is that the developers and the studio is going to get shut down for the Culling 2. It probably was already decided before they even released the Culling 2. But sometimes when firing people, meaner managers will say, well, if you can release this and you can get 1 million sales, then we'll keep you open. But that million number is always way higher than is realistic. And just to see if they can get people to work really, really hard before they fire them. And even if they did get 1 million sales, though, then they still would have been fired. So, yeah. It is what it is. The Culling 2 was a bad game, and I haven't heard a single person say anything really nice about it. I wasn't going to play that kind of game anyways, but whatever. Moving on, PC Gamer, Episode 3 of The Council arrives later this month, which I guess means I'm one more episode closer to actually being willing to buy The Council. Once the story is fully complete, I will probably buy it, even if it's pretty bad. Let's see, here we have a game called Unborn, which seems like a joke game where you play a sperm trying to reach an ovum. It's indie casual simulation is what they say it is. To me it looks like it's just a joke single screen Unity game, not doing much. 16 achievements, $1.99. Not really worth talking about.
I must move quickly.
Let's play this. Do this. I'm very surprised by this news from Gamatsu, because I was really not thinking that the side-scrolling action game Dead or School was going to come anywhere but PC. It looked like it was more of a anime girl with deteriorating clothes fighting zombie game like Onichamba, and that was just all it was going to ever be. And it would come to PC, and everybody would have their kicks from playing it, and then that would be it. But apparently, before it's even been released on PC, it's also coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And one assumes it's already early access since July 11th on PC. One assumes that this is coming to the West too, because you wouldn't really try to make this game for the Xbox if it wasn't coming to the West. Although, maybe you do. Maybe even in Japan, if you've already ported it to PC, it's just so much easier at that point to say, well, I've made a PC port, it's only one more step to make an Xbox version. There's really not anything new to be said about Dead or School. It's still a game that I kind of want to see reviewed before I would play it, but it certainly is already in my wish list. I'll double check. Right now, it's got 49 user reviews and it's 95% positive, which is an incredibly high amount of positivity. Which I assume this is because it's selling itself on what it is. The thumbnail has that deteriorating, ripped, torn up shirt of the girl protagonist, And so everybody knows what they're gonna get, and everybody knows what they're coming for. It's... I want to destroy more things. PC Gamer has one of these articles, the futile search for a single message in Far Cry 5. Subtitle: Far Cry 5 is totally confused, but it has a lot to say in isolation. I think inherently the mainstream video game media, who are extreme leftists, wanted to, at least extreme leftists for the United States, they wanted an extreme leftist message in Far Cry 5 because it was set in a mid-America, what you would assume is a conservative area, and they wanted them to just, I don't know, call them all country bumpkins and make fun of them throughout everything. And instead, they told what could have been basically a fantasy story set on a different planet in a different time. The setting really didn't mean too much, and the story they were telling was, I think for the most part, kind of a standalone, sort of unique story. Probably not that good of a story, but very much in line with the bad stories that Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 2 and 1 had. I think the entire series has been pretty consistent. Even Far Cry Primal probably didn't have that good of a story. The story is not key. If you're playing a Far Cry game, you're playing it because you want to do the missions and the craziness that Far Cry is known for. And the journalists were hoping for something more, in the same exact way as they were hoping for something more in the Wolfenstein 2 game and didn't get it. They want these games to come out and basically say F Trump, and nobody's gonna do that. Nobody's gonna risk potentially alienating half of their audience that may actually support Trump. And it really is just they want political messages against Trump more than anything. And so yeah, I think Far Cry 5 has been unfairly criticized and unfairly reviewed and focused around the story when in the same stuff that people have just not talked about the gameplay. And I'd like to play Far Cry 5 and review it myself from a more appropriate video game reviewer's stance, reviewing it for what it was compared to Far Cry 3 and 2 and 1 and 4, and report on it in a vacuum, disassociated from political views. Moving on, we have a game called Dies Irae. This one's an odd spelling. The first word is D-I-E-S, which could be DS. And then the second word is I-R-A-E.
I will fight with
so, Irae, maybe? Dies Irae, Amantes Amentes, coming to Switch September 27th in Japan. That almost sounds like Latin. Dies Irae, not Japanese. That's probably what threw me off there, is it's actually Latin they're speaking. Let's see. It's coming to Switch. It's already on Steam. It's a Japanese visual novel.
We have turned our curse into our strength.
Let's go to its Steam page, I guess, and see what they have to say about it. Rated very positive with 282 reviews in the last 30 days. 84% positive. It's tagged as visual novel. Anime adventure, violent nudity.
Let me think.
Let's play. There's no less than 4 trailers before you can even get to a single screenshot, and it's easier to look at the screenshots. This is one of those animes where at least one of the characters is vaguely dressed as a Nazi without having the actual swastika on his armband. Every single one of these screenshots looks very well drawn. Not just the character in the foreground either. There's entire effects and things. Oddly though, I'm not really seeing a I'm not seeing an interface for the visual novel aspects. They seem to have stripped all that out. And this game is free to play, but then I assume there's a bunch of DLC. Actually, 2 bits of DLC for $20 for $40. So I imagine. It says the common part scenario can be played as a basic free of charge. In order to play each heroine scene, purchase of DLC is required separately. That's an interesting way to sell your visual novel and charge quite the premium for it. DLC generally does not go on sale, or if it does go on sale, it's generally not on sale for as much as the base game. Well, I guess I kind of need the wishlist list just to keep an eye on it. See if this becomes immensely popular. It's not a name I've ever heard before. It's also the only game from this developer on Steam. Speaking of Steam, TechRaptor has an article. Steam is delaying the release of adult games until new filter tools are in place. So, inherently, this might be a backdoor, like, ban, because Steam could easily just never release these filter tools at all, and people wouldn't complain about it as loudly. At least this is not the direct, we're pulling down games that we've already approved on our store, like Honey Pop. And in fact, let's be fair, the game Mirror, which has a thumbnail of an anime girl tied up in bondage ropes, has been on sale as a, like, top, that second row of games that are on sale on the front page for the past week for $1. So, like, they've been actively promoting one of these style games, so I don't think that's what's really going on here. I don't want to immediately assume that something nefarious is happening, although this is kind of hurting people that planned on releasing a game. On the other hand, we did see a game that was just like Steam directed, that had straight up nudity in the cutscene in the trailer. You just by going to the page, there was hardcore pornography, animated hardcore pornography happening in the trailer. So somebody did push it too far, but they didn't respond by saying, really doing anything about it. I assume that video got taken down at some point. Let's see. So the Sunrider developer, Love and Space, tweeted, "We've now been updated by Valve in regards to Shining Song Starnova. The summary is that they are working on new features to give people more control over the content they see, and Shining Song Starnova has been identified as needing these features in place before it can go live on stream." Now, that seems rather unfair, frankly, because in the meanwhile, everything else is perfectly fine to be shoveled onto Steam with very little oversight. Like, I would feel a lot better if they had said that your game has been tagged with these trailers, with these thumbnails, with these elements, but we will let you release it with, if we take out this part on the trailer with these screenshots, and we'll just stick with the nudity tag. That being said, maybe Shining Song Star Nova is the most hardcore of games that's been put on Steam, so maybe there's a reason why they're drawing the line with them. Of course, this is so TechRaptor followed this up and reached out to more developers, and several of them said they had received letters from Valve detailing they were working on new tools that require additional information to be filled out when the new system is implemented, confirming that this is affecting all games in the genre. One developer directed me to the Boob Saga, which has unable to get approval to release, causing them to have to delay their release. And then TechRaptor says we have reached out to Valve for comment, and they have not replied as of time of writing. I like seeing phrases like that in a video game article, because that's actual journalism, and that doesn't happen much. And then they say, if you're a developer impacted by this, please reach out to us. So yeah, I guess I've seen visual novels with nudity get on, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how often I should have been seeing straight up sex games on a weekly basis. Probably I wasn't seeing a lot of them before because I didn't realize I wasn't seeing them. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. The Bossa Studio, BOSSA, announces Give Trump the Finger program will be donating money to charity. So the developers behind Perfect Date and Worlds Adrift have announced the Give Trump the Finger program. The program sees 100% of funds from Surgeon Simulator donated to a UK charity, which without information on which charity it's going to, like, I don't know how much you want to support that. It seems like the game is not on sale. If you wanted to play Surgeon Simulator, you're not getting the write-off. Surgeon Simulator has a free Inside Donald Trump DLC that was added back in 2016. Currently it's playable on PC, PS4, iOS, and Android, and costs $9.99 on PC and $12.99 on PS4, so those PS4 people are paying more. I don't know why you do this. Well, like, in the end, it's the wrong way to market your game. It just is. If you lose one sale because of this, you've lost one sale, and you've created bad feelings around your game, and you're probably at this point not going to gain a single sale on this program because you didn't make the game on sale, you didn't reduce the price, you're not releasing any new content, you're just saying you're donating the money to some nebulous UK charity, which I assume Bossa Studio is a UK company, and that's why. Like, you would have done so much better just to stay silent. And so many video game companies and CEOs, Randy Pitchford, for example, is a great example, just would do better staying silent. The creators of Firewatch would have done better staying silent, but they chose not to. Anyways, we're already over 15 minutes. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, July 16th, Amazon Prime Day, and because of that, the internet seems to be all broken and I can't see the chat. Issues certainly are abound everywhere. We need to play one more Paladin card at least. If we play one Paladin card and we don't get this done, I could hold this till tomorrow and re-roll. I kind of want to break early for many different reasons, and frankly, I don't think there's actually an hour's worth of news left on this. I don't think there's an hour's worth of news left open on my Chrome browser. So
the light shall bring
I probably shouldn't
I will
have.
fight with honor.
I probably shouldn't have done this. Done a third recording. We may just scroll down Twitter, or we may pull up Prime Day. The other thing is, certainly allergies are hurting me right now, and I've managed not to have a coughing fit, but I am in a very good place to play some silent post show. I also have a lot of videos I need to upload of Hearthstone and scheduling I need to do, so
Is someone injured?
I have no ambition to record anything more after this stream for today. I probably need to get things scheduled so I know how much time I need to fill before Halloween month in a different time slot, and once I know that amount of time, I will be able to then decide what short little game can I play for that amount of time, or spotlight. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article, Enter the Gungeon again with advanced Dungeons and Dragons, July 19th. So this looks like DLC for Enter the Gungeon. Yeah, it's a DLC type expansion, is what I would call it. Attack there. I'm not sure I can ever justify playing Into the Gungeon. It's every time I look at it and I hear other people say they love it, it just to me doesn't look visually appealing enough or look that fun. On the other hand, maybe I have considered playing things like Smash TV. Maybe Enter the Gungeon is a better example of something like Smash TV.
For justice.
And I should play that instead. I think there's a historicality. There's historic reason, at least, to talk about Smash TV and play it. However, so maybe I'd have to spotlight Smash TV, then play Into the Gungeon, and I could be totally wrong. The two games could be completely different.
For justice.
Let's see. First early access game I've seen today. It's called Star Valor. It's an action RPG in space. It's one of these space RPG shooters. It's widescreen. I have to plot it for that, but it seems like it has a lot of neon shapes around it. And just a little bit, not enough polish in its blasters or its ship designs. The camera zoomed out pretty far. The asteroids don't look polished enough. It's early access for $10.99, and it's 15 users that have rated it 86% positive, which take that with a grain of salt. That's not a lot of users. Inherently, I'm just not a big enough fan of space games. I think I could find maybe one or two that I'm willing to play, so they need to be the most popular, most well-known ones. PC Gamer has an article. Far Cry 5 goes off-world next week in the Lost on Mars expansion, which is odd, certainly, because that implies to me that this is like Far Cry Blood Dragon, where the story is not going to relate to the main story at all, which I guess I'm okay with that. Right now we have the Festival of Ragnaros going on, so I've got those done. Now it's time to move over to the Americas account. Yeah, and very little is actually being shown of the gameplay in this Lost on Mars expansion.
Welcome to the end, friend.
It rather looks like a fancy Borderlands game.
It's the triumphant return of the Fire Festival!
Oh yes, and I had a challenge a friend, so I only have 2 quests for the Americas account because I already did the challenge a friend. I imagine we'll have a tavern brawl Wednesday. I got a challenge a friend, and I guess I opened the pack without even thinking. And now I have 9 cards to disenchant. I must have opened 2 packs without thinking. Or the game is just glitched. Let's go ahead and disenchant this for another 50 dust. And mark that as seen. I could cheat this certainly and just delete something and have a 30 deck full of priest cards and 30 deck of druid cards, but I don't think I really need to. Let's start with Spiteful Priest at this point and see if we can go up, and then once we start losing stars we'll move to druid, the druid deck. PC Gamer has an article. Rainbow Six Siege players who use slurs are now getting instantly banned. So this is text chat. So they've implemented a system where if you type anything offensive in text chat, you'll instantly get banned, which also means you can trick somebody to say something offensive and get them banned. And the ban is kind of extreme. You can't even play like the single player alone by yourself or with friends while you're being banned. It's a system, certainly. They're trying to find systems to reduce toxic behavior amongst those players of those kinds of games. Still, there is a decent number of people who play those types of games that say that is the game, that is part of the game, in the same way that talking trash in boxing or MMA or football, baseball. I don't know if there's a ton of talking trash in baseball, but talking trash in regular sports seems to be at least tolerated, and it's kind of not being tolerated in video games for some reason. Like, and inherently this is what people just roll their eyes at, is if you're getting banned for an offensive statement to another player in football. People are not happy about that stuff because it's ridiculous and immature, and it treats everybody like a kid. Maybe it was a lie, but when I was a kid, adults told me there was adult languages that adults could use, or at least that was the impression I was left with. Now it seems like even now adults can't use that language. There were definitely words nobody should ever use, but there was also words certainly that adults could use, and it seems like that's getting whittled away. Anyways, moving on. I don't want to rant about that, although I probably have time to rant about something now. Ubisoft Berlin has been granted $1.84 million in subsidies from the City Senate for expansion. This is from Gamma Sutra. So basically, Ubisoft Berlin has just gotten a kickback for having Ubisoft Berlin be in Berlin and employ the employees that are there.
Well played.
Which that's not inherently a bad thing or a shady thing. Like, if you want your city to prosper, you kind of need it to have businesses, and there's a couple ways you can incentivize that. You can reduce or eliminate taxes on the business so that they're incentivized to have their business be in your city, and thus theoretically you're going to get taxes back from sales tax or real estate taxes or just employment taxes, or you can incentivize them by giving them subsidies, and those subsidies in part are going to go to then construction workers working in that city. It's a lot of bureaucracy, certainly, so it's almost impossible to calculate how much of that 1.84 million actually ends up being spent wisely and how much of it ends up not being spent. But they're trying something, and the other argument is to do nothing, and that's never really the right solution for most situations. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Unholy Disaster. It has a tag of nudity, sexual content, action, indie, and gore. So this game seemed to come out. It came out on March 17th, 2018. So it must have come out of early access. And this looks like, if I was to guess,
Is someone injured?
a Western side-scrolling beat-em-up. Western in its animation style, side-scrolling beat-em-up. You run and you slide and you jump over creatures. You're playing as this blonde-haired, large-busted lady in a dress with at least one flowing tassel. There's little conversation lines, but I wouldn't call this a visual novel. This has way more action in it. She has some kind of weapons or magic she's doing. Interesting.
Right away.
And there's pattern recognition. Wow, this actually looks like a good game. She got stuck in different jellies, crevices. Like, this isn't a great game, but this is better than most low-effort games I've seen before. Like, you could pretty easily change the skins here and remove the sexual content if you wanted to. She's fighting a Minotaur. The Minotaur just looks like a Minotaur. He's not anatomically correct or anything, which is what you might expect to have happen. She's fighting a floating robe of like a wizard that's casting magic against her. Wow. This unholy disaster is spelled really odd, where it's like capitalized, uncapitalized, capitalized, uncapitalized. Interesting. I would hate for there to be a video game developer out there that was cynical or so desperate that they said, my game is actually good, but it won't sell without sex, so it needs sex. On the other hand, maybe that's an accurate description, because this game kind of looks good. It's 10% off for $11.69. I'd say that's probably too expensive. It's probably too expensive for what it is, but certainly interesting nonetheless.
Right away.
And I'm gonna wishlist it and keep an eye on it. So we play this and this. Let's see. The first review says, I'll try to do my short review after a few hours of playing the game using my mediocre English skills. I've tried Steam all ages version for a few minutes, no H animations, so get the R18 patch before you starting to play. This game, like the rest of the Unholy series, Google it to find it on Dislight. They are great. Is a pixel hint of Castlevania Metro-like side-scroller. You control a cute blonde heroine fighting monsters using different skills. There's a not recommended. Unfortunately, this game is far from the original Japanese version. They basically removed all the cutscenes, death animations, grab attacks, and basically everything else that would make the game it worthwhile. Go ahead and get it at DL's site for a richer experience. I'm happy that Steam gave me a refund. So yeah, I'd have to do maybe a little bit more research to make sure that you could patch this version. But generally speaking, that is the way things work. Is the patch is built and planned from the word go. But even with all the H scenes removed, with all the nudity and stuff removed, which at that point I don't know why you're tagging it with nudity and sexual content, this actually looks like a pretty good game. And it's the only one on Steam right now from this developer. Interesting. And see, this is the perfect example of why Steam shouldn't censor and why people shouldn't censor. Because this game actually does look good. Not great, but a lot better than half of the garbage we see released to Steam. Even though it is a slightly Western animation style, it's done pretty well. It's consistent. Yeah, I'm gonna wishlist Unholy Disaster, and I suggest check it out. Even if you're not gonna play it, look at the screenshots if you're an adult, and won't get in trouble for looking at a girl with large cleavage in a skimpy dress. Just to watch the gameplay trailer. Like, there's actually a game there. More game than I would say, like Honey Pop was. Honey Pop had just the visual novel dating. You have to remember what the characters like or don't like a mini game and the match 3 mini game, and that was kind of it. Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article. Japan is taking steps to legalize paid esports tournaments. Speaking of esports tournaments, Nutaku, the adult-oriented game developer publisher, is doing a tournament of some sort in participation with YouPorn. That's interesting, certainly. I don't think we'd ever have an adult-oriented esports tournament ending up becoming mainstream, but there certainly is a lot of interesting twists and turns that could happen.
Revenge.
And kill that one. And end the turn. Japan is not the only company to take steps to legalize paid esports tournaments or esports gambling of some sort. But the way that was phrased, I just closed the page, it seems like up until this point, esports players couldn't win any kind of prizes for winning first or second or third place. Gambling in general is technically illegal in Japan. However, technically is the key phrase there. It is done pretty blatantly and pretty openly through the pachinko parlors, through a ridiculous loophole that nobody really challenges or questions. Japan is often about what the surface appearance is and not so much what really is going on. We've got another early access game called MoonQuest on Steam. It's tagged as an indie action adventure game. I may have already talked about this game. This is one of those Terraria flat 2D pixel art games. Seems like it's Minecraft-esque roguelike. Maybe a little bit focused around taking on some randomly generated dungeons and caves more than Terraria is, but feels like half of these Terraria looking games might actually just be Terraria, some mod to it. I'll take that. Let's see. MoonQuest is $11.99. No, not really interested in it. Let's close that. Priest class cards. I'm just gonna keep on playing. What is this? Ridiculously long named game. This looks like a first half of a year of a computer programming class in college for video game focused type project. It's so bad looking. It looks like it might be vector based graphics, something that you would design to show up on an oscilloscope instead of a proper monitor. This is an Asteroid ripoff, basically. Not worth mentioning the name, which is good because the name is extremely long and confusing.
Looking forward to the fireworks.
Let's see. I don't know why I used the coin there. That was a mistake. And this game that I'm looking at right now, I'm not going to name because it's just a Flappy Bird ripoff. Which, seriously, it's putting me close to being done today. Yeah. So that puts me at the Humble Bundle store way too early. I might as well just look at my clock since we've been going less than 30 minutes. Let's see what's at the Humble Bundle store. They have a Linux Geek books and subscribe and get 3x early unlocks. But there's no game bundle. Like, seriously, I don't think they're doing game bundles anymore. So, if you want some Linux ebooks, I guess maybe you would read these. Although, I'm not sure you really need to read an ebook to learn. Or if that's even the appropriate way to learn the program. And these books don't look like there's too many of them in the first place.
Put this apple on your head.
Honestly, nowadays you can learn what you need to learn mostly online for free, as long as you understand the basics. So, if you were to learn, I wouldn't say Python. That's a bad one. I would say go and have a class to learn C++, C#, G#. Don't learn JavaScript. Don't learn Java. Don't learn HTML as your first language. Actually, JavaScript, if it's your only option, would be alright. But get something in the C# languages, because that's kind of the basis of programming languages. And if you do Python, Python's a little too weird, and Java is kind of pointless to learn. So I wouldn't suggest that. HTML and JavaScript are things that you're going to need to learn, but they need to be learned secondary. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of confusion in your head because they are very different languages than most other languages. You really don't need to learn BASIC, or you really don't need to learn Assembler as your first language. But general concepts, object-oriented programming is the big thing these days. And for the most part, it's probably the way you'd want to learn. And always just kind of know that there's a very good chance that what you're learning is not very good in any programming class you take. That's certainly a high possibility. I'll go over to Twitch. I've already checked for the Prime loot today. Like King of Fighters 14, Steam and free upgrade.
Thrall!
For Doomhammer.
The forest fights back.
Learn more. Steam Edition online game code. Interesting. I need to see if some of these games actually end up as Steam codes, because if I have been getting all these Twitch Prime games and they've been also Steam codes, oh man, that'd be great. I really would be happy with that. Because right now I'm not super happy with getting a game on the Twitch launcher. That's just kind of a nightmare scenario where games were just gonna be in the wrong place. Let's see.
Time grows short. Now how about...
Oh, it's 50% off King of Fighters. So it's a sale. Is all it is. Yeah, I wouldn't... Even 50% off King of Fighters is not an interesting deal right now for me. It's still too much money. I could play this. I'm supposed to be playing all these druid cards. And see, now on my Twitter, I kinda don't have anything to talk about. And I kinda can't see the chat. Oh, I definitely can't see the chat. Let's see, PC Gamer feed. Epic's first official Fortnite competition was a total disaster. Let's read that. For once, blaming lag wasn't an excuse. Let's read this article. Epic Games promised big things with Fortnite's first year of official competitions, investing $100 million in prize money alone. The Summer Skirmish series would kick off things with 250,000 duos competitions. Duos competition featuring big streamers, pros, top performers in the showdown, limited time mode, and bizarrely the subreddit mods. It was a train wreck. Some of the best competitors died to horrible latency issues with it, while the casters laughed it off. At one point, a private planning spreadsheet appeared on the screen for all viewers. 10 matches were promised for a broadcast. Okay, that sounds like a train wreck. I was trying to see here if PC Gamer was exaggerating. But it doesn't sound like this went too well. A seemingly arbitrary invite list meant dozens of established pros and the best showdown LTM participant were denied a chance to compete in the first place, with most of the prize money riding on nabbing 2 victory royales. Play was consecutive and dull, and a clinic in how to camp. Epic has committed to broadcasting this series weekly for the next 2 months to avoid additional disaster. The company will have to quickly figure out how to keep their servers strong enough to support remote tournaments while capturing their action in a clear, communicable manner with casters that have more to talk about than what they know about llamas. So I don't know if this guy personally just is not happy with it or what. Let's see. Next paragraph says poor perspective. I don't care. Alright, it sounds like it wasn't great. I don't care about Fortnite enough, however, to continue reading with that article, so take it with whatever you want to take it as. Maybe it was horrible. Maybe PC Gamer is editorializing and exaggerating the problems.
This'll be
a
good.
lot of different possibilities could be going on. Inherently, if I don't care about something, even if I am trying to stretch for time, that I just am not going to care about it. Like PC Gamer's next article, which is their exact next tweet. Seriously, they just put them back to back. Well, you know, actually it's Twitter that's putting them back to back. One of their tweets was an hour ago, the next one was 16 minutes ago. Why one tweet that was an hour ago is ahead and at the top, I don't know. But it is. The next article is, should I use a 4K monitor as a computer monitor? A 4K TV as a computer monitor? Go bigger than any monitor, pay less. Generally speaking, if you're going to get a 4K TV and use it as a computer monitor, it needs to be probably smaller than what you could find, because you're going to want at most 30 inches as a computer monitor, because you're going to be so close, you don't want to strain your neck looking left and right. And if you're sitting your comfortable distance away from your monitor and you can't see the left and the right margins, you've gone too big. You're also going to suffer from latency problems. In this article, they say 32 to 45 inch TVs can be had for as little as $200 or $300. Arguably, there's probably reasons why they're that cheap. Like they have extremely low latency or extremely poor color balance, or they tend to die really fast. I would definitely do a lot of research and get something a little bit better quality. Let's see, we've got a game that came out 20 minutes ago on Steam called Another Otter. It's a MS Paint looking game. We've got Randy Pitchford again promoting his Nerdvania bar section, which I believe is actually different from the Nerdvania restaurant, which they're connected but different in their name, at least, probably in license. Let's see, there's a game called Groove Coaster on Steam. Let's see what this is. Groove Coaster for Steam with an anime girl on the thumbnail. And this is from Taito. I was not expecting that. From the pictures I was seeing, I thought this was going to be just a low effort student project game, but I guess they just used really bad screenshots. Yeah, they did. Groove Coaster is kind of like a line rider game, it seems. So it's this rhythm game. I'll keep an eye on it, but honestly, I'd never really play it.
My thoughts are plagued.
3 attack.
Light and rot.
Here we go. Gamma Sutra has an article. Saudi Arabia appears to ban 47 video games after deaths of children. Earlier today, the Saudi General Commission for Audiovisual Media announced a ban on up to 47 video games in a move first reported by the Associated Press. It's not an unfamiliar move in a country that's recently halted the sale of games like A Way Out, but the reasoning for the ban, it seems slightly to have some slightly unusual origins. According to the AP report, the ban, which covers game series including Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed, and The Witcher, comes following the deaths of 2 children, one a 13-year-old girl and the other a 12-year-old boy. Both reportedly took their own lives after playing the Blue Whale game, which does not appear to be a video game, but a phenomenon of online challenges that appear to encourage self-harm.
My thoughts are plagued.
Interesting. Like, there's a movie that was in development, maybe it's not in development anymore, built exactly around that idea, where online games and that were built around encouraging self-harm.
Turn is not.
Let's see. Think of it like a far darker, more harmful version of the Ice Bucket Challenge and other viral challenges that have appeared in the United States. Another report from Arab News appears to add more context to the ban, purportedly tying several deaths to the challenges. And one further attempts to describe the game as something that appeared on a gaming platform. The report also indicates Egypt and the UAE have banned the Blue Whale game, though they have not similarly extended it to cover actual video games. So seems like there's definitely some confusion, and we've certainly seen this in the United States where one game is harmful, therefore all video games are harmful, or therefore we just have a good excuse to ban games we don't like. I kind of want to see this AP report. Let's see if we can get the entire list of the 47 games, because that would be very helpful. If we could get a full list. There's a lot of response to this where it could just be why is each of those 47 games banned because of the Blue Whale game. So the only ones we have listed are Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed, and The Witcher series, which are all, I believe, M-rated games that 13 and 12-year-old boys and girls should not be playing. So there's inherently an argument you can say of a lack of parental oversight if 13 and 12-year-old kids are playing that. That doesn't seem like that's the case. Instead, it seems like it was a case of parents not overseeing their children enough to know that they were doing harm to themselves and playing this Blue Whale game. Honestly, this falls more in line with something like the Jackass phenomenon, when Jackass TV show on MTV started happening and people started filming themselves doing all kinds of crazy things. They certainly were doing crazy things before then, but they weren't doing it as often, or filming themselves and trying to get on TV. And that Jackass phenomenon still, to this day, kind of exists. You still see some crazy people do some crazy things on the internet for popularity.
The end is coming!
Everybody needs to be vigilant in every aspect to know when something isn't safe, and to know to not do things that are dangerous. Let's see. So how would this work? This would give me 2. I can get 6, but I need more. Let's see, I might as well just play this here while we're at it. Just let him kill all my characters. Moving on, we have another article. Your Gamer Night Dive reveals better than expected progress on its troubled System Shock remake, which is interesting because I kind of thought that they weren't working on that, but apparently they were. See, developer Night Dive has offered backers of the beleaguered System Shock remake a fresh look at the progress that made toward the project's big September milestone. Let's see. The September milestone originally envisioned had a bunch of 3D environments with really no textures on them, and they added the original textures and got them working, so great. I don't know if that's a realistic amount of progress. I don't know how many months of work that was, or how much of the game that is. Is that the best only part of the game that's been done? Or is it or is maybe the entire ship is textured and has its 3D polygon meshes designed? Let's see, they also showed off what looks like a red barrel that will either explode or be full of bullets or something like that they designed. So it looks like some work is being done, at least. At least one person is doing something. Yeah. Boy, it would have been better to use the owl on this guy than the one I did use it on. Let's see. Gearbox official tweeted, "Feeling tethered to your current job? We have the perfect opportunity for you." They really shouldn't have used that phrase, tethered. Let's see.
Now how about...
Let's see. I understood the reference. So this is the like, this might be the only official word we'll ever have of them admitting they've seen that Tether article. Let's So, what is Gearbox really hiring for? They're looking for a programming copy editor, looking for an experienced programming full-time employee. I wonder what a programming copy editor does. It seems like, if I was to guess, you probably are fixing other people's code. Let's see, what is this? Enjoys finding typos. Click to apply and pass the rigorous questionnaire located for the implication. Oh, so this is straight up a joke job listing, too. Of like, I've never heard of a programming copy editor before. You're generally expected to be able to spell check your own work. This is kind of funny, but it's also kind of the wrong response, because I really would have said, like, let's actually patch that. Let's fix that. Let's hire the guy that found the bug and say, hey, you know what, you're right. Just kind of making a joke out of it and not fixing aliens, colonial marines. No, yeah. That's the one. The bug that they're referencing here, the tether being misspelled in the programming. That's kind of insulting. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna fix it. We're just gonna make fun of it. Let's see. We've got an article here we can basically just skip. Kids destroy adults in the Major League Baseball's VR home run derby. I imagine that's probably true, because you probably designed your game to work and be easier for kids than adult baseball players or people with more experience. Let's see, PC Gamer has an article, Wayward Souls is a 16-bit roguelike with a story to tell.
Lunara versus Anduin.
just looks like a RPG Maker game. Can I get over that? Though, yeah, it's hack and slash and it's fast. It's a fast-paced dungeon crawler. Roguelike games. Maybe I don't like the top-down perspective in roguelike games. Maybe that's part of it. Certainly could be. Maybe I only like side-scrollers. Like Rogue Legacy. I really liked Rogue Legacy. But that's probably the beginning and the end of my love of roguelike games. If I've played other roguelike games, I haven't recognized it. Let's see, Gamasutra has an article. Game Maker's Toolkit debuts new series on designing for accessibility. I believe this is probably a video series. Yeah, there's an entire video over here that they're linking to. Programming for accessibility. That was one of the problems with Bejeweled 3. It didn't seem like it was very accessible if you were colorblind. Didn't seem like it had any kind of mode that would help there. Gamasutra has a video called The 10-Year Evolution of Assassin's Creed franchise. That'd be a slightly interesting video to watch. How long is it? An hour. An hour GDC presentation. I thought it was going to be a 3-minute at most. Just, here's what it looked like in the first game. Here's what it looked like in the second game. Just a combination of the original cutscenes. Let's see. Play that. Then end the turn. Beast of Winter is coming to Pillars of Eternity 2 in August, according to PC Gamer. I'm like, Gamasutra has a article how Ubisoft approach revitalizing the Division, Siege, and other live games. Let's see. The quote here is, now the games have live elements. The smart way to handle them is to keep working on them and maintain engagement. That way you can build towards the next game too. Which I'm not sure that works. I'm not sure any of the games listed here, the Division, Siege, and other Ubisoft products have been amazingly well received titles. Nathan Fillion says he doesn't believe KD6 is really dead, according to PC Gamer. That's a Destiny 2 reference. Don't care about that. You can now schedule on YouTube your live streams on webcams. Why that wasn't a feature in the first place, I have no clue. I don't think scheduling works inherently. It seems to cause you to not get notifications sent out. Let's see, Libretro is increasing some bounties for programmers. Programmers to fix issues. 3 hours ago, Darksiders 2 aired on my channel. And at this point, I don't think I'm gonna run into any more news. And I'm a little surprised I even saw this much news. So I'm gonna end the stream. We've got about 55 minutes. So after this game, pretty much I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna play off screen, work on the Prime Day sale, see if there's anything. See if there's anything that that there's worth purchasing. I'm more than likely done with all my Prime Day purchasing. Just buying things I was gonna buy anyways, and not really getting a discount. Even if I had gotten no discount, I got one thing on sale. That's not the reason I get Amazon Prime in the first place, so even if a Prime Day sales didn't happen, that doesn't matter to me. 5 hours ago, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens 18 here on my channel. I kind of forgotten that it was even airing. Tyranny is free today for Twitch Prime subscribers. So I'll double check that. I'm not sure I collected that game. PC Gamer has an article. Check out all the big changes coming to World of Warcraft in tomorrow's patch. Let's see. City of Brass now has multiple character classes. Wow. I thought that would have been in the first release. Clicker Heroes 2 is out. And weren't they the one that was thinking about doing blockchain Bitcoin mining in the background of the game? I could be wrong about that, but I played Clicker Heroes 1. Yeah, alright for a clicker game. Nothing great about it. A lot of microtransactions seem to get added over the years to it, and some elements of gameplay got added to it, so it kept on going. Meanwhile, I'm still struggling to get that last achievement on time clickers. I don't know if you really can get it though.
This will be grisly.
Job done.
Apparently Origin PC has an impersonator, and they tweeted Team YouTube about somebody impersonating them, and Team YouTube just replied, "Our Help Center article has info on impersonation which you may find helpful. Keep us posted." So that they're just responding with the basic standard response of basically, it's the equivalent if you call customer support on somebody and they just hand you over to another person.
The shadows grow short.
See, there's a game called Wizard Hunter 2348. It doesn't look very good, but I'll save it for Wednesday and look at it.
Is someone injured?
Let's see. Pladius announces a Gamescom 2018 lineup. We'll save that for. Save that for Wednesday. Story-driven puzzle game Will a Wonderful World coming to the Switch in 2018 according to Game Matsu. We'll save that for Wednesday. Saving everything for Wednesday at this point. Naughty Dog wants people in Ellie cosplay to submit their pictures. Game of Citra has an article how Bossa relied on players to help build its Skyfaring MMO Worlds Adrift. What? Nope, I didn't click on that. No, I'm back at the top. Darn it.
This'll be good.
It's a game called Hyper Zen Training that just came out. HSReplay.net posted. They only post about once a month, I guess, which is nice. You probably don't need to post any more than that. I'm gonna have to scroll all the way down and get it to reload a couple times as it decides to show me more of my feed.
I bring life.
It's probably close to being at the bottom of my feed anyways. Everything's still very much out of order. I every now and then run into an issue with like malformed cookies on YouTube, and I've given up on trying to live with it, so I'm trying to install a app that will just automatically delete specific cookies when you close a page. Of course, that certainly could turn into a nightmare where you're having to log into pages over and over again. Of course, I could certainly see if you're running like a library computer or something, or you want cookies gone. Yeah, that would be great. Of course, if you're running like a library computer, you probably want to use a more robust service that would just erase everything as soon as it's closed. Shield +3 attack. About to lose. Apparently it's been 31 years of Metal Gear Solid and such. That doesn't really mean anything, it's just they're not going to really make any more Metal Gear games. Though. So yeah. I did want to take a moment just to look and see if I could... Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody talked on the chat either. Seems like the internet's just going to be broken all day. So I'm in a rather terrible position. I need to get at least one of these done by the end of tomorrow or kinda today, and it wouldn't hurt to get both of these done, and there's an Asian account quest to do, but because it's Prime Day, because news is a little short, we're good to go here. That's going to be it for this stream, and apparently I was not recording, or I clicked the stop recording button, or maybe the hard drive's full. I don't think that's the case. So, yeah. That's going to be weird. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. This may be the only people that get to see it. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, I'm asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me a game or a gift card, or send me a Steam code directly through Twitter. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.